It is just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Dr. Charles Chung Kwang Chen, DDS, a periodontist, graduated from the University of Maryland, which you should know is the first dental school in the universe, receiving a BS degree and a DDS degree at the University of Maryland's Baltimore College of Dental Surgery. He participated in the Accelerated Professional Training Honors Program to obtain his dental degree and complete his Post-Doctoral Residency in Periodontics. After graduating, he was invited to join the practice of his mentors, Drs. Robert Zupnik and Dennis Winson, and has enjoyed a wonderful fellowship. In his spare time, he has taught the postgraduate periodontal residency program, conducted connective tissue research, receiving a U.S. patent on bone tissue regeneration. He is the founding member of numerous dental organizations and is currently participating with federal and state initiatives shaping the regulations on digitizing dental records for patient safety in prescription drugs, which I wanted to bring on the program because Amazon just started delivering prescription drugs. So ZCYW Perio was established in 1963 by Robert Zupnik and quickly grew to become one of the top periodontal practices in the D.C. metro region. His philosophy is to put the patients first and provide the highest level of care and expertise. When you choose ZCYW, and I got the name of those four, let me see. So ZCYW stands for Zupnik, Chen, Yen, and Wang. Edward A. Zupnik, Dr. Charles C. Chen, who you're looking at right now, Alex Yen, and Cho Wee Yong. And my gosh, it's an honor to have you on the program. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, honor's mine. Like I said, being a fan for yours for a long time. What you're doing for a young dentist is really, really commendable.
Well, you're too kind, and it reminds me, you go by Charles, and I got to remind dentists one of the stories I had. So when I was lecturing in Shenzhen, China, Godfrey, who's the owner of Modern Dental, I was talking to Godfrey and just loved the guy, just the most amazing man in dentistry. I said to him, Godfrey, is that your first name, last name? And he told me a story. He says, well, when we started grammar school, they told us that people in the Western world wouldn't be able to say our name. So we stood in line and we came up and we each drew a name, and that was my Western name. And I drew Godfrey. And I said, well, Godfrey, I love you. I don't want to call you by your fake Western name. I want to call you your real name. What's your real name? And he goes, hi-ya, 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 hi. And I said, okay, Godfrey. And so I was so glad that yours was so easy. Chung Kwang Chen. So breaking news today, Amazon is going to start delivering prescription drugs. And this is your expertise, because the reason I brought you on the show is because you're the chief dental officer at Dr. First. So go to drfirst.com. It's I Prescribe, gives doctors the freedom to write and renew prescriptions anywhere, anytime. I Prescribe is your digital prescription pad featuring EPCS, PDMP, and more. Since 2000, Dr. First has pioneered healthcare technology solutions and consulting services that securely connect people at touchpoints of care to improve patient outcomes. They create unconventional solutions that solve care problems, medication management, price transparency, and adherence challenges in healthcare. And this is all new, and I think the pandemic has really escalated things that were already going virtual, like working from home. When this happened, Dentaltown already had 20% of its employees work from home. So we were just scaling up from 20% to all of them when we were closed. But prescriptions has been so regulated and so difficult that it's taken Amazon, which went public in 1994, and this is now 2020. So hell, it took 26 years for them to do this. What do you think of all that?
Well, prescription drugs being a big business. Lately, you can see every block in every city has some kind of pharmacy. So it become a huge business. So Amazon's been slowly working its way through. Initially they're going to get into this field when they bought PillPack, another company, a year or two ago. So they're preparing to get into this market. So what it is, it's going to try to increase efficiency from drug pickup with the customization of regular pickup, all different items, groceries, any items. Amazon established a steady pattern of secure delivery. I think that's why they feel they can cut to the chase and have drug delivery directly to the patient instead of patient go to pharmacy to pick it up. But I think that's going to be a big battle between these giants. There's going to be a big, fierce fight for the market space.
And how is that fight looking? So Dr. First, which is really in your backyard, Rockville, Maryland. You're not too far from that. Since 2000, Dr. First has pioneered all kinds of solutions. How do you think this solution will go?
Well, what happens, we on the other end, we're on the doctor's end. The reason we call it Dr. First, because we saw inefficient medical field, and we felt like doctors were the low man on the totem pole. Everybody's getting rich, everybody's forcing mandate down doctors' throats, and very little doctors can do. So in 2000, we've set up a company to make doctors' life easier by providing doctors with the latest technology, make it very, very simple to use. So it's very complicated, sophisticated inside, but on the outside, make it very simple because, as we know, doctors are not the most computer savvy people in the world. So we developed this product, various products over the time. I think we've been pretty successful. So without various products, mostly dealing with medical healthcare information technology, we incorporate artificial intelligence, blockchain technology. So we try to provide the latest technology for doctors. And we've grown, even though you don't see our name on the outside, we're almost like Intel inside. We are embedded so many other softwares. We embedded 270 other electronic health records across the country. We have 300,000 healthcare providers using our products, and 100,000 doctors are writing over 10 million prescriptions a month right now using our products.
Holy moly. So the prescription writing app is iPrescribe. iPrescribe.com, but it's owned by drfirst.com. Do I have that right?
Correct. What happens, iPrescribe is our latest product. Our original product called Arcopia, it's a desktop version of electronic prescription writing. That's been around for quite a while. But iPrescribe just came out because using mobile technology to provide doctor with mobile app on the phone, and it satisfies all the requirements the government just put out. Mandate for electronic prescription writing for all controlled substances, which is going to become mandatory in 28 states by January 1st this year. Satisfy all the requirements for state for PDMP, which is Prescription Drug Monitoring Program, and satisfy all the HIPAA compliance. So there's very, very various level of the government mandates. This simple app, and by the way, it's free. It's ready for all doctors. It's truly a revolutionary product.
You're ready for prime time. So what did you say? What did you say? iPrescribe app used to be. What was the one before?
The desktop version is called Arcopia. RCOPIA. Arcopia.
Arcopia.
Yes.
Arcopia, and my gosh, that's an interesting name. Where did Arcopia come from? What did that mean? RCOPIA.
It used to be RX. Remember the drug system, drug medication, RX-copia, cornucopia. So it's Arcopia. We shorten it too, so people can pronounce it easier.
So it started out as RX.
Copia, right? So
and what's copia mean?
The cornucopia is a collection of various different things. To collection. Different things. Combine the two words.
All right, cornucopia. That's a word I have not done in a while, but that is a.
That's because I looked up every single word. When I came, I didn't speak a word of English, so they stuck me in the school with all the regular class. So what I have to do is look up every single word in every little textbook. So it's not too bad, but when you have to read Shakespeare, like Hamlet and King Lear, and you have to look up every single word. That takes a lot of time.
You know what? I know, and I feel horrible to have these thoughts, but math is the language of science, and it was German was the language between scientists, and then after World War II, it turned to English, and I'm like, I sat there every time I'm reading something hard in English, I always thought to myself, well, at least I'm not, native tongue German, looking up all these English words. I don't know how you do that. How old were you? Where were you born and raised, and when did you come to the United States?
I was born in Taiwan. Came here when I was 13 years old. So I was born in 1967. I mean, I'm 1954. I came here in 1967.
And was that, looking back at your childhood, was that like fun and exciting moving to a new country, or was it just traumatic and scared and leaving all
Oh,
your friends and food and customs and all
I
that?
was so excited. I was coming to America, right? So I landed here in November 67. And then remember what happened, right? The riots in D.C. So living through the riot in Washington, D.C., I'm thinking, what the heck am I coming into? but but fortunately, where I was at school at the suburb of Maryland outside DC, people are as kind as can be. Just people are so nice. So I always felt like I've been very blessed. The people I run into my life and all the things I've done is because the people are into. I always say business, and I always say people are people, right? And if you said if you get an A in business, you'll be successful with time and everything else. And I agree with you 100%. I just been very fortunate to run into good people.
Well, that's an amazing thing. People are good. And that's what I love about dentistry so much. Been to 50 different countries, and usually, when you're going to go, lecture in Salina, Kansas for the 10th time, I can't get anybody to go with me. But whenever it's a foreign country, anywhere from 1 to 4, my boys will go with me. And my gosh, they have dentist friends that they love in 50 countries, and dentists are they're just so good. And I look at all these dentists around the world, and I just think, why can't the countries get along like the dentists do? They just sit down, they're transparent, they all are focused, they got one eye on the patient and one eye on cost, and they're trying to make everything faster, better, easier, cheaper, just for the people. And then you look at the people doing the government thing, and it's like, I don't even know who their customer is anymore other than their own wallet. I just love dentists, and they're just amazing. So how long you can download the iPrescribe app on your phone right now?
Yes.
And how long has that been available to download on your phone on an app?
It's been available for over a year. As a matter of fact, we just got a news release yesterday. If you look at news release yesterday, the year-to-year use doubled within the last year, increased 100%. So it's really taken off because the app is just so easy to use. And it's like a little mini computer in your pocket, or mini patient records in your pocket, as a matter of fact, because it can self-populate your patient information. If you put in a few information like your patient's name, zip code, phone number, maybe a birthday, they populate all the medications that are taken in the last 12 months. So you can be out of your office, your patient calling emergency. You can put all their medication history, drug-to-drug allergy, check PDMP. You don't have to worry about which pharmacy, because the pharmacy, their favorite pharmacy, is already listed on there. It's just fabulous application. And also you can download this register, which is complicated because I can go into later with our trials with DEA, the very, very strict rules to enlist doctor and dentist, because you can't have anybody just go on an app and write prescriptions. So usually take days and hours or something like that, weeks to get on. But we streamline now with the approval of different government agencies down to less than 10 minutes. Now, each state now have their own PDMP program, the Prescription Drug Monitoring Program. So that may vary from state to state. But our application download takes less than 10 minutes, which is, again, based on AI technology, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I know you're not supposed to talk about religion, sex, politics, or violence, but I have to be honest. I mean, this is Dentistry Uncensored. I'm not going to lie or not tell you what I really think, but I still think the jury's out on this drug thing, because whenever I see them talk about all this opium overdose, everything that makes the paper, they weren't on Vicodin or Percodan from Walgreens. They were on 6 different things. They had a substance abuse problem. And I think that I always wonder if they could walk into Walgreens and get Vicodin and Percocet without a prescription, well, then they wouldn't be buying it from someone making it out of a bathtub that God only knows what's in it. It's cut with fentanyl. They don't have the same dose. They might think, oh, every day I take 2 of these, but they got 2 that are 10 times stronger. I don't even know if the DEA and all this regulation, I actually think it kills more people than not. And I have the freedom to have my own opinion, but I was really wanted to know what a really smart guy like you thought of that. I mean,
Right. I think what happened is, as dentists, we're the highest prescription writer of opiates for young people. Not everybody, but young people, because wisdom teeth extraction. So I think sometimes they find out this may be a gateway drug for the young people get hooked on narcotics, because we were giving out, writing these narcotic drugs routinely. But the last 2 or 3 years, I'm a practicing periodontist. So right now, I very seldom write opiates anymore. I use, maybe Tylenol in combination with Advil that seems to take care of most of the pain problems. However, we still need the ability to write narcotics for those people really in pain and suffering. So I think this is one component of regulatory control. So you don't have people stealing prescription pads or, opiate mills that doctors selling prescriptions. I think that's the part that controlled the opiate crisis. But more importantly, for the electronic prescription or regular medication, is patient health and safety, because they found the paper prescriptions cause a lot of problems because illegible handwriting, loss of paper prescriptions, pharmacies copying the doctor's orders. So a lot of these can be corrected by electronic prescription of regular medication. And opiate control, it just give another layer for the government to catch, illegal uses. It won't stop the origination, it won't stop all the problems, but I think just a way to control some of the bad apples. Not too many, but I think just give them a way to control it. But I think overall, they've been very pleased, the hospital, doctors, insurance companies, with this functionality of electronic prescription writing, because it does save a lot of lives and save a lot of money.
Well, when you talk about bad apples in every system, I think the government has the monopoly on the bad apples. But there's a person on Dental Town who's talking about this app, and he says that it's 99 cents. It's 99 cents to download it on the App Store. Is that true or not?
I didn't think so. Is it off for 99 cents? Not that I know of. We made the app free, so I'm not sure it is.
So the app's free now. So it used to cost money, and now it doesn't.
I'm not sure. We call it free. I'm not sure. App Store, does it cost to be associated with 99 cents? I wasn't sure. Could you double check? I should know, but I don't, because
yeah,
that's not making the 99 cents. I don't think it's coming to us.
But you know what I liked about your system the most. I mean, we're learning all these things
Right.
with this pandemic because it's all new and it's very exciting. And I used to think my own mother. You'd think I know my mother better than anyone on earth, and I've been stumped a couple of times. One time I came home from college, and my sister said she was in the bathroom dyeing her hair. Then she came out and she had the same hair color. And I said, Shelly said you were dyeing your hair red. I had no idea that she did that her whole life. I thought she was a natural redhead. And then I thought my redheaded sister Ree took after mom. Turns out Ree got a redhead from my dad's mom. And, so you never know. But, my mom always had all these church functions. Every other day she's at church for something. I didn't realize till now that it was all a big social thing. I mean, that's where all of her friends were. And now I look at it, she never came home and talked about any lessons she learned or some new Bible quote or theory. I realized it was just her whole social world. But regarding her doctors, I'm loving the fact that she doesn't at 82 have to get in a car, drive across Wichita, go park and this and that. Then some of my other sisters want to drive her. She's doing a teledentistry. She's doing it on her iPad. And she doesn't have to go. And when I looked at what you're doing, the first thing I thought is, well, customer service isn't going to a pharmacy, dropping off the prescription, spending half an hour in Walgreens trying to see, what's the best chocolate bar to eat. But to have this in advance, you'd walk in there and it'd be ready to pick up. That's service. Right. And way back in the day, I tried to do this with just my local Walgreens in the same parking lot. I said, well, let me just get a fax machine, and when I get a prescription, I'll fax it to you. But that was back in '87, and Walgreens, and the guy said, I don't know what's wrong, but management said, we can't do that, or whatever, some regulation deal. But man, this is full service. Is it better, faster, easier, higher quality, lower cost? I mean, you checked off all the boxes.
Right. And also some application we're not making, we're not necessary for our prescribe for our dentist because we don't prescribe that many drugs. But one application we have for regular physicians is a monitoring program to find out, did the patient pick up the prescription? If they didn't pick up a prescription, for example, high blood pressure or a blood sugar, why? Did they run out of money? Do they need assistance? Because a lot of these pharmaceutical companies have programs to help indigent people or because they forgot. So it help monitor to make sure patients are picking up and taking their medicine because the insurance company want these people to do well too. So it's a big incentive for patients' wellness to have these monitoring programs. So we really think the ultimate goal is patients' health and well-being. But we want to make doctors' life easier. If we make the app so simple that doctor can use it at very low cost, I think that's the way. Because if you look at our costs compared to our competitors, we like fraction of it because, that's what it is. Our main goal is service to the doctors and provide for patient well-being. You talk about Jim Collins a lot. We believe the same thing. The business, but everybody wants to make a profit. But you got to be some reason, some higher goal, some passion to be in it, so you can be excited. Your employee can be excited to be part of the team. I think that's what makes a business grow.
And dentists, there's a lot of dentists. There's a lot of different opinions and all this stuff, but a lot of dentists don't want to take phone calls after hours for emergencies because they always think they're going to get duped by some guy addicted to opioids, and they'd rather just not take the call. This, you're saying, helps them because if they were calling you in and you had that app, you would know their history. Is that correct?
Exactly. What medication they're being picked up the last 12 months. Doesn't matter what state, doesn't matter what pharmacy, you will know instantly if they've been getting prescriptions. And if they've been picking up prescriptions on a regular basis, exceeding what they're describing, then it's opiate fraud. So you don't need to go in. So that's why some of the states are mandating this application.
And do you know how many dentists have downloaded it? Do you know? Do you have any numbers?
Right now, we just started this program a couple months ago because our focus is being on medical doctors. So I think over 3,000 doctors, 3,000 dentists. And we're signing up more and more, right? And
is that all dentists in the United States? I mean, we got a lot of people listening right now that are from Canada. Are you available in Canada, or is this mostly a U.S. thing for now?
We just started our flagship program. The desktop program is working in British Columbia, and I think work in Ottawa. But just the national health system, we got to go through all the bureaucracy up there. So we've been up there 3 years, 4 years. But we're finally getting adaptation. So I'm not so sure about regulatory environment for iPrescribe up in Canada, but I know our product is being approved. We have Canadian headquarters up there to help our Canadian neighbors, but we focus basically on Canada and United States.
So here's a dentist asking, Massachusetts will require controlled substances to be issued electronically as of 2021. The Massachusetts Dental Society members partner, but anyway, is that Massachusetts will require controlled substances to be issued electronically? So is that all 50 states? I mean, is that more a federal program, or where is this coming from, and what is it for?
Okay, for January 1st, 2021, any federal government program is Medicare Part D. Anybody prescribed controlled substances must use electronic prescription, but that's federal program. On a state level, currently there are 8 states mandatory narcotic prescription. January 1st, coming in 7 weeks, 18 more states going to join in, including Massachusetts. So all these states, if you don't write prescription electronically, you cannot code it in, you cannot fax it in, you cannot write it in. So if you don't have electronic prescription ability, in patient need narcotic, you are stuck. You better call your buddy to send it in for you, because they would not accept anything out of electronic prescription writing.
Well, do you ever watch the movie Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Have you ever watched that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good, because I don't want you to think my questions are rude, but if you were on Shark Tank, they would say to you right now, they would say, okay, you're iPrescribe, but there's other competition. There's Veradigm, there's iCore X, there's Denscript. What is unique about yourself as opposed to all those other competitors?
Well, we are based, we think we're the foremost technology company. For example, the Massachusetts listener you just talked about, DEA was not allowing electronic prescription writing because they're worried about abuses, right? So we're the first one. We did a pilot program at the state of Massachusetts. After a year of pilot program study, our success was what allowed DEA to allow electronic prescription controlled substance nationwide. As a matter of fact, their basis, their requirements, their standards, all based on our product. So we're the pioneer in this system. So not only that, we have the most robust support system. For example, because we have 10 million prescriptions written every month, our system cannot afford to be down because 1,500 hospitals are using our stuff. So we have 24/7 live people support. We have 100% problem solving rate. And we just there all the time. And we are the top product and we stand behind our product. Our price is fraction of what other companies are charging, even not counting our first year free trial basis. So our products stand the test of time. So, and you're not going to find anybody with approaching the volume, the experience that we have.
Well, congratulations on that. That's very, very impressive. I mean, that really is something. Tell me about your journey. I mean, I know back in DC, I mean, I know you're the kingpin back there. I mean, your resume is a mile long. But tell us about your dental journey and how did you end up after this an amazing career as a chief dental officer at Dr. First after being a periodontist. How many years were you a periodontist?
Right now going on 38.
38, my gosh. Finally, I guess someone on older than me. I've been going on 33. So I'm loving this. My gosh. Actually, you have a grandfather I could podcast next who's a practicing periodontist, but tell us about your journey because I think it's very interesting.
I've been so fortunate. I came here, the Innsbruck Word of English. I have an environment that's really loving environment in Maryland. People are just accepting me, no problem. So I got here and I worked 13 years in a restaurant. From the time I was in middle school until the week before I graduated from dental school, I worked in a restaurant. I loved it. I loved working with people. I was making good money. But more important, like you said, I learned how to work with people, right? So I love restaurant business. And after 13 years, I had enough. I said, okay, the day I finished dental school, I'm going to become a dentist. Now, when I went to dental school, that was 70s. At that time, federal government had this idea that we need more dentists. There weren't enough dentists to go around. So they had a special program set up, and Maryland is the recipient of this special program. They got a federal grant, quite a bit of money. So each year they accept 10 more students than usual, put them in a separate facility, separate faculty, separate curriculum, and we graduate in 3 years. So I had to run the program. So went through a 3-year program and we were treated nicely. We're treated like kings, even though we work like dogs, but we're treated very well. And especially, you may know this person, one of the ladies that graduated, she didn't graduate from transfer to University of Missouri, Kansas City, by the name of Connie Driscoll. I don't know if you know her.
Oh, of course I know Connie. Amazing.
She was in my class. She transferred because her husband got transferred to Kansas City. And then, so what happened? They take these 10 unusual students. So I worked in restaurants 13 years. Connie was a hygienist for Clip Ocean Beam. We had a helicopter pilot from Vietnam. And my friend, Dr. Stephen Jeffrey, who's a material genius, and he was in my class. He ended up to be head of the restorative material for Call Dent Supply for a long time. And he's he's an endowed professor at Temple University right now. So I met these amazing people in my 3-year dental school class. And when I finished, I felt I didn't have enough yet. So I took 2 more years finishing my periodontal program training. And at that time, the head of periodontic department was Dr. Gerald Bowers, the guru, the forefather of bone and tissue grafting. So we're into regeneration very early stage. But he's also open-minded. So he wants us to learn about the old-fashioned bone resection technique. So he hired people or asked people to come, like my old partner, Dr. Zupnik, Dr. Winson from UPenn. So they teach the resective techniques. So I feel like really good, well-rounded dental school education, perio education in Maryland. And when I graduated, again, Dr. Zupnik Winson asked me to join them. So I became their associate. So after a few years, I was doing pretty good. You know, I work hard. They asked me to become a partner, but they said, no, we want to save money. So don't get your own lawyer. Use our lawyer. Just use one lawyer. I said, sure. So the lawyer came back, and my buy-in price for the whole practice was 2 weeks gross. 2 weeks gross, 4% of the annual gross of the company to become a full partner. So that's how your younger listening out there probably say, these guys are crazy. And I told them the same. I said, you guys are crazy. But they said, no, Charlie, you bring a lot to the table. Your business already growing very fast. You know, your income's almost equal to ours. We're going to make you a full partner. That's why we think it's fair. So that's what it cost me. 4% growth, become equal partner. And since then, we've been doing the same to our younger partner. We try to be fair. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful ride. And so that's my periodontal side of the business. I'm still working. I love it. And part-time, I still go teach part-time at University of Maryland. But I just love dentistry. And then during this whole time, my genius classmate from a 3-year program, Dr. Jeffries, he came up with this idea of a novel bone transplant material. So I said, okay, he wanted me to be his clinician to test this stuff. So we took out a patent on novel bone transplant material, started doing experiment on it, but with two poor young graduates, we don't have any money. So I think we gave a portion of the company to a business people and lawyer to represent us. Well, after a year or two, they got sick and tired of spending money. So they found some investor in Vancouver, Canada. So they took our patent, took over a shell company, and did a reverse merger or something to that sort. And we become public traded in Vancouver. So that's my exposure to high finance in the very beginning. So we did that for a while. Eventually, company ran out of money, so went under. But at least I got some experience, a taste of what's going on. Then at the same time, since my brother, who was head of the Intelsat satellite company, he was head of the engineering division. He put up like 10 satellites successfully, without any hiccups. But he got as high as Intelsat can go because anything above him were political appointees by different countries. So he wanted to try his hand in private business. So he went out and started this business for internet security because at that time, internet was very new. So we were able to take that company public, and then we got out and did something else. Then after a while, he got tired of it. So he started Dr. First, again, for this medical technology to help the doctors. So I got involved with this business, not because I'm so smart or whatever. I just happen to run into good people with ideas. And if you follow these people's ideas and you go along for the ride, it's very exciting. It's dentistry. We can parlay dentistry in many, many fields. And I was able to do that. I think all of my fields so far originate because my connection to dentistry.
That is very nice. And you did mention Connie Driscoll.
Right.
So I do want to shout out. She passed away. My gosh, how long ago was that? She was a teacher of mine and loved her to death. And she passed away June 22nd, 2014. Wow. And I don't know when she was born, but she was just a very, very fun, cool person. And she was one of those teachers, just totally available, just loved her to death. But what a legend she was. And she was the Dean Emeritus of the GRU College of Dental Medicine and a great person. So perio, not to change subjects, but I think of there's 12 professions, and we had 9 the whole time I was a dentist from 87. And just like that, we have 12. And I was really surprised that, it's change. And, humans hate change. Who moved my cheese? But when I look at all the specialties, which one of these new ones, like oral medicine? I mean, I would think they would benefit the most from these apps, because a very common question for the dentist, the hygienist, is a patient comes in, they're on all these medications. There's no way you could know what all these prescriptions are. I'll give you a point. When I was in grammar school and high school, during recess, any car that drove by, everyone knew every model and make of every car. I mean, there were so few types of cars. We thought we were smart that we know them all. Well, hell, now I would know what half the cars driving down the interstate are. There's so many of them. They all look the same. Same thing with prescriptions. I mean,
Right.
it seems like in '87, you could do a lot of that in your head, but you don't have a chance of doing that in your head.
Right.
How many prescriptions are on that iPad? How many do you even have in there?
Every single one. I'm telling you, the technology is so advanced. If patient give you a name, they will put up and you want to write a new prescription. The patient could be on 10, 12, 13 different drugs, and the drug-to-drug interaction will pop up with our technology. Same thing with drug allergies. So with AI, and also it help you because AI function, it will shorten your stroke. They kind of self-populate a lot of fields with your approval, of course. But this technology is just an instantaneous. You can't believe the technology these days. And within fraction of a second, we pull data from hospital records, pharmacy records, insurance records, doctor's records. It's incredible the technology we have. You can extract data so quickly and formulate in a way that's so easy for a doctor to use. So when a doctor uses our app, it's very simple, it just pop up easily, but the functionality behind it is incredibly difficult. We have almost 400 employees now, and we have many, many patents in this field with artificial intelligence, blockchain. So we're really in the forefront of technology. And we talk about telehealth, right? Right now, I receive a lot of referrals from my friends, and most of them are try to send me with secure email. I can't open them because to open secure email, it's like you need a degree in some kind of coding and things like that. So connected with our iPrescribe product, there's a product called Backline. It's secure messaging being used widely in hospitals. What happens in the Backline is that allow you to secure messaging. The recipient does not have to download the app or to be certified. You just have to be a trusted person. So you can go outwards, but they cannot come inwards. So secure message you can use for referrals, you can use for patient consultation, but that's not one of the apps. It's not free with this product, but it's the first year is free, but the future cost is slightly higher than iPrescribe. But it's a great functional telehealth product. It's all HIPAA compliant, because right now we start getting HIPAA, start cracking down on dentists using Gmail. That's why I usually use Gmail for my referrals. I know it's illegal, but I don't want to go to the other side either. So with this secure email, secure messaging called Backline, everything works. And you can control your circle. For example, you can control whichever specialist you want on your list. It's fantastic in the hospital because you can have 4 or 5 specialists diagnosing, treating one patient. And this will keep the message going on an ongoing basis like a tree and keep it going, but you limit who you want to be on the treatment circle. So this is another powerful tool, but I just give a plug because I'm sure dentists don't use dentistry a lot yet, but at least another function now that's available. You can use on the same mobile device.
So that was actually my next question. Mobile device. Why is there not a desktop version? Why is it only mobile?
Couple software are mobile only, but you can have desktop version as well. What we find, the mobile version has a lot of advantages. You can be anywhere. You can be, for example, you say people call you middle of the night. You don't know who that is. But with this mobile device, you don't have to go back to your office to go on a desktop. You can be anywhere, anytime. And most people these days have a mobile device. So they give you a lot of functionality, mobility, and security. And somebody asked me, it's what happens if I lose my cell phone? Well, nothing's stored on the phone, everything's in the cloud. So it's very secure and HIPAA compliant. So again, mobile device, we find that it's going to be a freedom. It's like a electronic prescription pad almost, right? You have security of it, and most people don't lose their iPhone easily. So it's again secure, and it's a great functional device.
You know, I knew the smartphone was going to change the world when way back when it was a Motorola flip phone. People would leave their Motorola pager and they would leave their Motorola Nokia flip phone. That was common. People would say, "Ah, I forgot my damn phone."
Right.
But as soon as it connected into the internet, you could be all the way out the driveway and getting ready to drive away from your house, and one of the kids would panic. Oh my! I got to go get my phone. That's when I realized that the brain is our natural intelligence, and our hand was holding an augmented intelligence that we just stared into, and I just knew that was going to be a game changer. But I can't find how to do this on desktop. If I go to iprescribe.com, it just tells me to get the app.
iPrescribe is not on a desktop. Arcopia is the desktop version. You got to go to Arcopia. It's a
Oh,
different, right?
okay. So
Arcopia is different, right?
oh, I did not know that. See, that's why I podcast people, so I can figure this out for myself. So iprescribe.com, iPrescribe is the app on your phone.
Correct.
And where is it? Right here? Arcopia
It's
is the desktop version.
Right.
Wow. Well, that's great. That was a question on Dental Town today. Someone said right here, what did he say? He said, iPrescribe is a smartphone app, no desktop application available. And now I can tell him, and he'll think I'm smart because I knew. Back to all these specialties.
Right.
I'm not a periodontist, but I have slept in a Holiday Inn Express. It seems like in my 30 years, your specialty has been undergone the most change. Like I remember when in '87 we were learning all the plaque removal and scaling, and we do all kinds of fancy procedures, and you just did anything to save the tooth. And it was about 10 years out of school, maybe 95. All of a sudden, everybody realized that, the best way to treat periodontal disease is extract this stupid tooth and replace it with titanium. And that was all the everything. And then after 10 years of that, all the periimplantitis and all the problems. And then dentists started realizing that this treating perio with titanium wasn't as great of an idea as everybody told you. And now it seems like my periodontists they're going back to the old world. They're going back. And for me personally, I think it's the patient's choice, but most people want to save their body part. I mean, most people don't want their eye or cut off or their ear. I mean, I've always been into saving natural tooth. How do you, about a quarter of our listeners are still in dental kindergarten school, and a lot of times they get tripped up by diagnosing and treatment plan. What advice would you give to a dentist who's looking at a case who's thinking, conservative and do all this perio treatment, or just extract and replace with titanium? Do you have any quick rules of thumb on how you wrap your mind around that?
No, I think the biggest thing is user experience, to look at the patient's condition to find out what may be the best treatment for the next 20 or 30 years. And they take a lot of experience to think, in this particular patient, would periodontal treatment result in better long-term success in 20 years versus implants, right? Because you need to look at disease process, the amount of progress they made, the bone level, the type of disease, and the age of the patient. So a lot of them come to it, but no longer just simply extract teeth and put in implants, because for a while, everybody's doing prescription surgeries. Take out this tooth, put an implant in, you're done. No, because you still need to understand the occlusion, right? Unless you're full arch dentition, you have some edentulous spaces, you got to take in consideration into that. Today, I was at dental school today, and the biggest thing we try to do is talk about occlusion. My partners, my mentors, they're from UPenn, big on occlusion, more in Amsterdam, Herman Koren, Cohen, Goldman and Cohen, all these guys. So I really believe occlusion doesn't matter natural teeth or implants. You got to have the basic biologic principle behind it. Because otherwise implants fail too. You see implant breakages, but oftentimes because occlusion, although it's very difficult to convince people of that. So I think implants or natural teeth, for my personal opinion, I like natural teeth better. However, in some cases, especially people live to be 80, 90, 100, well, sometimes root care become a problem. So you really have to consider which one is ideal for the patient. I remember my dad, I put a whole bunch of implants from over the years. When he's 90 years old, he broke 2 more lower incisors. I was going to put 2 more in for him, right? My mom said, no, he's too old. He didn't need it. Well, he lived 5 more years. I wish I'd put him in for him because he was fairly good health. So 90 years old, if the bone is good, implant's not a bad choice without worry about root decay. So I think everything is based on biological principle. You got to really cater to the patient. For individual cases, there are no fast rules, but implant fail. One of my students, Paul Rosen, he's a very famous lecturer now in periodontics. He said we'd be busy as periodontists treating periimplantitis the rest of our careers. So we got to be really a bit careful with just, simple rules.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble, but this is Dentistry Uncensored. I don't want to ask you any question everyone knows. Dentists get really serious when they need technology that's really expensive. I mean, you're talking about an app where I wouldn't care if it's free or $10 a month. I mean, I get mad at dentists sometimes because on Dental Town, they're saying, someone will post a link and they'll say, well, you have to have a prescription to read the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, or Investor Business Daily. And I'm like, well, dude, you're a dentist. Don't you think people should pay for services? And you want great journalism, or you just want free journalism? I mean, I can't believe that dentists want free journalism. And I really don't care if this app, what it costs, if it's free, $1 a month, $10 a month, because I think the extra value added service of having it electronically sent in. So if there's any problems or questions, the pharmacist can, we can fix that. And then when grandpa goes over to Walgreens, it's all ready to go. I mean, that's just full service. That's just obvious. So they come out of school, $400,000 in student loans, and then someone tells them, well, to treat perio, you need to buy a $135,000 Millennium Laser Lanap, or you should make these crowns chairside for same-day service, and that's $135,000. You always need to take a CBCT, that's $100,000. So I want to pin your feet down and get you in all kinds of trouble. Do you have 4 doctors in your office? Do you recommend a $135,000 Millennial Laser Lanap to treat periimplantitis, or do you do it old school with a scalpel and a scaler?
Okay, we run our practice like academic practice. Zupnik was first one civilian to do bone grafting outside the military. We're the first one in our area to do implants, and we're the first one to use millennium lasers. What happens? Dr. Ray Yekna, who was also a student of Dr. Bowers, gave a lecture about Millennium Laser Lanap a while back. So my 2 partners, even they're much older than I was, they're very receptive to new ideas. So they went out, took the class, bought the 2 machines right away. So I was more circumspect. So I said, well, I'm not sure 100% sure that Lanap business is going to work because I saw other type of laser that doesn't do anything for periodontics. So I waited 3 years, saw all their patients, and I saw some benefits. So I finally got the training. So now we have 4 Lanap machines, Millennium Laser machines in our offices. However, we do things differently. I use it as part of adjunct to my treatment. I tell them what the product is, what advantages it is, and I use the same fee as my regular surgery. And I give them a little bit of warranty. I said, listen, I'm going to use the Lanap laser for you. However, if the result's not what I think it would be, I'm going to do the surgery to correct the residual defect for free. So we're a little bit different because in a way, it costs us more money because sometimes I take 2 procedures to accomplish the same result. But I think as dentists or periodontists, you really owe yourself to really investigate every single new technology. Don't just say no. Really listen to people you trust, listen to experts, listen to programs like yours to give them a true idea what works, what doesn't work, and decide if that particular machine or tool is right for the job. Because everything is formulated based on biological principle, right? Everything's based on wound healing. We're not going to do anything more than what's humanly possible. We can use biologics these days, try to stimulate, try to increase what's possible. But other than stem cells, which is not there yet. I don't see it happening anytime soon. So we got to do the best we can. We want to maximize the regenerative ability. You know, don't count on technology. Technology is nothing without basic biologic understanding and principles. So I said, yes, I'm all gung-ho on new technology, but I'm very skeptical. You got to convince me. I got to see with my own eyes. And if I anything doubt at all, I want to make sure I'm fully comfortable with, you know, whatever remedial thing I can do for my patients to make sure whatever I do, I want to do it right.
And I also want to remind the solo practicing dentists out there that the bizarre thing about specialists is the fact that they have two customers. They have the patient. They're supposed to keep one eye on the patient, one eye on costs, and do everything for the patient, treat other people like you want to be treated. But then they got this second customer, the referring dentist. And you've seen pediatric dentists figure out that the pediatrician is a better referral than a general dentist because the pediatrician gives them all the kids right out of the gate, and the general dentist only gives them the ones where they've already scared the hell out of them and ruined dentistry and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes I've heard specialists tell me that, well, I have to get this because my referring doctor thinks I do. I mean, you know how many oral surgeons and periodontists I know that have 4 different implant systems because they're referrals? I know endodontists that have bought a Son Endo, big money, because, you know, one of their referring docs wants it. And then there's whenever you have a laser, there's the marketing side effects. Like, I know a podiatrist, and I'm probably going to get beat up by him one day because I've said this story too many times public, but he does all of his advertising. He's a laser foot doctor. And when they actually get into the surgery, I mean, he's got the laser and he might play with it, but he says it's 10 minutes faster just get a scalpel and boom. And it really slows him down if he uses laser, but it's incredible marketing. Did you find any of that true, that some of your referrals wanted you to have perio or it elevated your status, that you had this fancy, expensive laser, or that patients liked it because it was a laser?
I don't think so. We don't partly promote it at all. I mean, we really don't do much promotion. We are very low-key practice. So most of our referrals are from word of mouth from other colleagues. And so the laser, I'm sure it's known that we have it, but we don't promote it. We don't use it for every single patient. But it's a tool for some patients. For example, a really medical compromised patient, you really can't do surgery. It'd be really nice to have a nap laser in your arsenal to treat those patients, right? So we let people know we try to be on top of all the latest technology, all this materials. And I think our referral doctor trusts us, you know, to use our best judgment. Sometimes we get an argument, for example, sometimes really strongly recommend do a root amputation on upper molar instead of extracting, put an implant in because sinus is so low, I really don't want to do a sinus lift or whatever reasons. But so our referral doctor trusts us. And because sometimes when I recommend some crown and bridge work, I'm really weak in teeth. They would say, are you sure? Because dentists, nice people, they don't want to put in a whole, you know, reconstruction and have the whole thing fall apart. So I got to stick my neck out. So I just said, trust me. I know it looks bad on x-ray, but if I can clean up the perio and you do the crown and bridge, stabilize those teeth, they will stand the test of time. And they do it, and I think we end up a lot of happy patients. So you develop trust over a period of time. So for any specialist or general dentist, the biggest thing, develop a circle of people, you trust each other, you know, have each other's back. You know the end result is what's important. You don't want to have anything that happens that's not predictable. And I think that's a key thing. Again, dentistry, people business. I have good relationships with my patients. I have good relationships with my referral doctors. That's what makes it fun to work, right? Because I never want to quit. As a matter of fact, this morning I took my partner, Zupnik, he's 86. I brought him to teach in school with me. He never wants to. He just quit last year. Less than 85 years old. So the reason he quit was his assistant. And our staff has been there 20, 30 years. We treat each other like equal. His assistant says, you know, Dr. Zupnik, your hand's not as good as it used to be. He got mad at her for a few days. Then he said, okay, I quit. So that's how he ended up his career. So we try to have a good relation. We try to good, honest relationship with all staff, patients, and doctors. And I think that's the only way to go. With dentistry, a wonderful, wonderful profession. I'm so blessed to get in this field. I'm just happy as can be.
And I want to talk to you about other bigger purchases. I see on your website the CBCT is expensive, and you
Yes.
chose the PAX i3D green CT scanner from Vatek, a Korean company. How much did you pay for that, and how standard of care is it outside of implants? I mean, I get it that everybody that has an implant needs that, but what is your, dentists are always asking, what is standard of care? And a lot of dentists are asking, is the CBCT a standard of care procedure before every implant? And so, why did you pick Vatek? That'd be a good start.
I think we have 2 or 3 different vendors, which tend to be all the vendors. We look at some of the systems. And for some reason, we thought Valtech at that time was the best product for the value. I think it's about $100,000. But I think the technology at that time to show us, we felt it wasn't that much different, but we somehow picked that over the other system at that time. I think the average cost was like 100,000. We have 3 office locations, so we have 3 CBCT machines. And again, we use, believe it or not, I usually take 2 per implant case, and I don't charge for either one of them because I think just need to be standard of care. So even we have the machine, it costs us a lot of money. We don't charge people for using it as part of the procedure. We could probably kind of a little bit crazy, but that's what we do because we just think diagnostic value for, especially implants, it's quite important. We did implants for 20 some years without the CBCT machine, and I thought we did pretty good. But having this extra layer of security to know exactly what you're dealing with, and also probably a good way to show patient what it looks like, I think is the value. So if possible, if the cost come down enough for general practitioner to have that, I think the good thing to have. But for diagnostic for general dental problems, the full set X-ray is still the best. Nothing beats a full set of good dental X-rays.
But you're right. I remember. When I would say by 87 to 19, I'd say by 1990, everyone on earth who passed the 10,000 to 30,000 placed implants did them all on a pano. So it's kind of it's hard not to laugh when you see some young child who's placed 12 say it can't be done. It's like, okay. And I want to ask you another thing about group. The interpersonal relationships are tough, and you seem that you're very personal with that you went into that practice because were drawn in with Robert Zupnik and Dennis Winson, and you have 4 partners. And the only people that talk great about partnerships are usually people selling practices or selling them. But if you talk to consultants, partnerships break up like marriages break up. And if half the marriages break up, every dentist I know that got divorced and broke up with his partner said the breaking up the partnership was far worse. And the reason is because when you have kids, that you have family, there's glue, you just want it pretty. But when you're fighting and going to war with a divorce with another dentist and you don't make love and have children and family, and my God, sometimes I remember one time a person bought into half the practice for $500,000, and then they decided to get a divorce, and the next 2 years spent $750,000 each on legal fees to get a $500,000 settlement. It's insane. And people say, Dennis, when you never want an opponent who got A's in calculus, physics, and biology to go after you. You just don't want that. So what advice, why are you so happy in your partnerships? And by the fact that they've lasted so long, what was the key to success? The communication? Are you the alpha bull male and everyone else just does what you say? How does it work?
Well, we're like a bunch of cats. So we just let everybody for themselves, right? So when I joined the practice, Zupnik and Winson, my professors, they never told me once what to do, either clinically or professionally. They say, you're the doctor, you do whatever you want. So when I joined them, I was associate. It's purely on a handshake. No contract, nothing. So I can leave anytime. So they weren't afraid because they say, you don't want to be here? Don't be here. You can open next door if you want. And that's how we give up. And we do the same thing with all the new associates become partners. We just totally trust each other to just do the right thing for the patient. I think number one, you got to take care of the patients. Number two, we treat each other and treat the staff really with utmost respect. We don't ever fight over money. Zupnik always said, listen, 1 year you may be up, next year he may be up. If you fight over every dollar, not going to be happy. Just be close enough, be fair, and that's good. And then we always carry on by that because you have this kind of trust and understanding among each other. That's the way to go. Because if you fight over every dollar or whatever, it's not going to work. For example, Dr. Zupnik loved to work. He hardly ever take any vacations. And when I was younger, my kids were younger, I would take 6-8 weeks vacation a year. Nobody said a thing. They don't care. They say you want to make less money, go take more vacations. So we're all free to do whatever we want. For example, we have 3 or 4 different implant systems because each one of us likes something different. I like, the HA-coded implants. My partner like non-coded implants. So we order duplicate systems. Same thing with all the other material, dental material, biologics. So we have total freedom. It's almost individual practices, little stage within the federation almost. And because we trust each other, little things doesn't bother us. We just have utmost. So we stay together. People like it. Money, yes, some grizzles, but at the end of the year, does it really matter? The happiness matter that much? No, I don't think so. Zupnik just retired 85. He said, Charlie, if I worry about money, I would hated my profession so much. I would retire 20 years earlier. He said, so I work 20 years more. I love every minute of it. So what difference does it make? And I think we take that view. And I think for a lot of younger people, especially under financial pressure, they may not be so cavalier about these things. But I think the long run, having a good group practice is such a pleasure. You have people to talk to, you have people share your troubles and share responsibility. One of my partner, he took all this new PPP loans because he's very good reading contract. I was terrible at it, So having a partner there that definitely took a lot of pressure off me. And it's one of the benefits of having a group practice. Everybody bring their talent to the table.
Well put. During this pandemic, you're involved with many dental societies, study clubs, so many things. My God, your volunteerism has been through the roof. But a lot of people were upset that the ADA went along, that we had to close for 2 months. And I try to let them know that they're giving the ADA way, way too much credit. You might as well blame it on your mom because it wasn't the ADA or your dental society. I think there's little things that you might not have heard of before, like the U.S. government, the Centers for Disease Control, the World Health Organization. I don't think the ADA or your mom was very high on that list of being involved in shutting it down. But how do you lecture and work with a lot of dental societies? And I think during the pandemic, we've seen a lot of dentists sell their practice and want to join a DSO because the pandemic was something a solo dentist, a lot of them didn't want to do with. And the neat thing about group dentistry, I hired my first associate the first year out of school just because I just went from 120 dental student classmates, all that to being alone. I mean, that was like, wow, that wasn't fun at all. And I was so dumb, I wasn't smart enough to get someone 50, 60, 70 years old that knew everything. I, of course, hired someone that was the same stupid age as I was at 25. So we had fun, but we didn't know anything. Do you, the DSOs, they can't even return all the phone calls of the dentists that want to sell them their practice. Do you see this strengthening study clubs where the pandemic is kind of like, those Musk, when the lions come around, they form a circle and put the babies in the middle and it's them against the jungle. Do you see dental societies getting stronger and more important and having a new sense of power as dentists want to cluster together and learn how to, what are the best practices to fight this pandemic?
Not yet. I think what happened is I have so many colleagues retired recently because pandemic. I think when we finally able to get together again on study clubs or whatever, I think then people may start talking to each other about what is that we can do as solo practitioners. Not DSOs are bad, but I think as independent practitioner, which I think that's part of the reason that I became dentist because I'm an independent person. I had to do my own thing. But I think that dentists should get together and look at the competitions out there, look at the practice structure, and how do to differentiate yourself, not just based on price, but differentiate yourself through knowledge, skill, personality, so you can survive in this new world. I think there are plenty of people out there, patients, they're looking for special care, personalized care. And I think there's a market for both, but I think as an independent dentist, you really got to focus more on marketing and especially concentrate on skills. You got to be able to deliver what you promise. I think if we do that, dentistry is going to be fine. I still think dentistry is going to be one of the last few independent colleges left in the US. Even I think 20 or 30 years from now, I'm pretty optimistic about dentistry.
Yeah, I mean, like in the United States, only 5% of Americans will see a chiropractor in their lifetime, but the data shows that all the people will. I mean, if you live out your whole life, at least once you're going to go to the dentist. There was a lot of this happening, this e-prescription, even before the pandemic. On January 1, 2020, Arizona law requires all Schedule II controlled substances to be electronically prescribed. Iowa did it, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania. Has it already affected all 50 states?
No, 28 states by January 1st. So 28 states. Right. It will become mandatory. There's no question because they need to have a uniform standard for the country. So it's coming. It's really not a bad thing because if you look at the prescription number, the physician actually find that much more efficient. They save them time, trouble, because with this app, there are very few callbacks from pharmacists. And also on this app, there's a free feature that's in there. It doesn't affect as much, which is a discussed cost. Physician can look on our iPrescribe and know the different costs from different pharmacies. At the point of care, they can direct patient to the cheapest place. For example, maybe Amazon's cheaper. However, maybe some specials, maybe CVS may be cheaper on this particular drug. So on this app, we can direct patient to different pharmacies. Although dentistry, we don't prescribe anything expensive. We talk about antibiotics, some pain medicine. We don't do anything fancy like physicians. So that feature have less relevance to us versus general physicians. But I think overall, there's so much advantage to electronic prescribing. I think it's going to be way for the future. And without iPrescribe, the good thing is not only you can take it anywhere, the medication right automatically get populated back into med history right away. So within a short period of time, whatever you wrote would be in your record. Now, if you run and say, Mrs. Smith called me so-and-so to do this, okay, you got to enter into your patient record. But if you just want to go back and see what medication was prescribed when your record would be in there automatically, then that's a big plus.
But wouldn't the biggest plus be that it would be safer, that you would have some electronic thing that might be saying you can't give this patient these two medications? I mean, would that be
exactly?
Would that
exactly be that's right? The biggest problem was eligibility, illegible handwriting, but the second one is drug-to-drug interaction. You're absolutely right. So these are the things that we pick up, right away. And the third thing is, from a mandatory standpoint, another mandate coming is you must check PDMP before you write opiates, EPCS, because they want to check the history of the opiate prescription. So with our app, one click, we show, number one, document you checked it, so you're clear with the state. And second, in seconds, you show what kind of medication history they have. Because if you don't have this app on your phone, on your record, you got to go back and report that you checked this, which is a pain in the neck. So with this simple one click, you have EPCS and you have PDMP mandates. You satisfy both mandates, you're good to go. And it takes seconds. It's really, really good thing to have.
So the founder, the founder and CEO of Dr. First is James Chen, and he lives near
my
you.
brother.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Is that's that right? I met the right people, right? You got to meet the right people.
Oh my God! I'm going to call my brother after the seminar, after this podcast, and say, "Why the hell didn't you start again?" So, what's your brother's background then?
Well, he was graduate engineer from Georgia Tech. Then he went to satellite business. Like I say, he launched like 9 or 10 successful satellite launches in a row for Intelsat without failure. And at that time, he reached as high as he can go. So he want to go into private business. That's went into it. He's a serial entrepreneur. He got into this thing. Oh, another thing interesting is that the first venture, you're looking for investors, right? So through a friend, he met this gentleman back in Taiwan. On a handshake, the gentleman gave him funding money, millions. It's a handshake, So just like my handshake with my partners, it's people that you have people that trust you. You reward their trust by working as a dog to repay their trust. But unfortunately, that not too many people are willing to bet millions of dollars on a handshake. So, but again, it's you meet the right people at the right time.
Yeah, and the real issue about getting financing or getting money, the problem should never be finding the money. It's always paying it back. That's the hard part. If you live, I mean, like in America, they start sending kids when they're 12 years old credit card applications. I mean, when patients come into your practice and they're 25, they don't have a credit card. There's a really good reason why they don't have a credit card. And I was also wondering, Cameron Deemer, who's the president of Dr. First, he lives right out here in Mesa, Arizona. So
exactly. We have a satellite office out there. We have satellite office in Arizona. We're one here and one in Canada. So that's our offices right now. And that group, we have a fairly large size group that mainly handle sales, et cetera, out in Arizona. They love it so much they don't want to move back to East Coast.
Yeah, and I don't blame them. I mean, today I'll tell you. So you're in Washington D.C. right now, right?
Right, cold. It's getting cold.
What's temperature there?
I think it's 42 degrees today. I think.
Oh my gosh, 84 degrees. 84 degrees.
Too hot.
And the high was 90. My gosh, I'm trying to think. I can't believe we went over an hour. We talked about.
We did.
Was there anything? Well, first of all, let's end on this. How has the pandemic affected a periodontist office? Because this is what I am seeing in Arizona. Now, remember, Arizona is the Florida of the West. I mean, if you live east of the Mississippi River, you go to Florida, and they're all crazy. And if you're west of Mississippi, you go to Arizona, and I can vouch they're all crazy. It seems like there's two worlds here. We saw that in the last election. I mean, they've always been really divided, though. I don't see really any difference between people who are registering one part or the other. It's always been two different worlds, but we live in one world here in Arizona that thinks the whole virus thing is just an absurd reaction to the flu. And I'm talking about 4 of my 4 boys, too. They it's a joke. And all those patients 40 and under, they're doing everything they used to do. They're doing everything. They don't change anything. But they don't need a root canal, build-up and crown, an implant, 4 quadrants, or everything. And so then you got this population that's my age. I mean, I'm 58 to 80 that need all the dentistry. And in fact, they are smart about this virus because obviously it's not attacking 10-year-olds like it's attacking 60, 70-year-olds. And so, man, I would think a periodontal practice would have just been smacked hard as opposed to a pediatric dentist is what I'm saying. Is that true? Is that true or
we're
false?
Like crazy. We're so swamped. We were closed for 2.5 months. Then after that, we're being really limited the number of patients I see. Used to I see a quick check patient for 5 minutes. Now it's half an hour because you got to sterilize your room. So the time slot become very limited, but yet the demand is extremely high. I'm booked up way ahead. I always been a little bit busy, but these days really, really busy. So, especially people under stress, people locked up, they watch the TV news. I see so many teeth fractures. It's unbelievable. I used to see one fracture maybe a couple of months. Now I see 5 to 10 a week. People are fracturing their teeth like crazy, and that require extraction, immediate implants, and things like that. So we're really, really swamped. So it has not affected us at all. So, I guess I'm very happy to say, but we're very, very cautious with our protocols and space and equipment. So we tried the best we can, but we're being swamped.
Wow. Now, is that just because your practice has been around for a long time and you have all these great relationships, or is this a general trend that you're seeing in periodontal offices around the DC area?
I'm not so sure because, I'm more familiar with my immediate area general practices than other colleagues in DC area. But I think everybody's fairly busy, I think. Because also, remember, a lot of people retired. So these patients all of a sudden need to find a new dentist. So there's quite a few patients moving around as well. So I think everybody's around us doing well. Besides, Washington, D.C., everybody's federal worker. I mean, there's no depression, no recession here. They all working, they all got salary. So, right?
Yeah.
So we recession proof around this area.
Right. That is I'm looking at the Dental Town. If you know what I really wish you do? I wish you would just go to Dental Town and do a search for e-prescription. And there's just so many questions. And what's amazing is all the questions are now like e-prescriptions. Do they interface with any practice management systems? Like if I'm using the app, I use Open Dental. Does that sync and enter all the information with all the practice management systems?
Well, it depends on the software system. We're trying to work. We integrate 270 medical software systems, but dental we only have a few because we're just starting into. So what happens? You need to have a working relation, integrate with the system. So we got to work on the major one. The major ones. But without I prescribe, what happens? You can work independent because the medical history automatically integrate into your system. So you don't really need to open your system to do that. And since the history of it automatically go into medication history of the any software system. So they really don't need to enter into it. So that becomes less an issue unless you want to write down, like I said, Mr. So-and-so called me once. But otherwise, you can just look up medication history to know exactly what you wrote and when you wrote it.
Yeah, and again, Walmart announced January 1st that all their narcotic prescriptions would have to be e-scripts. They're not taking paper anymore. So this is just clearly the trend, and that's why I wanted to get you on the show. And you're just amazing. My gosh. But yeah, you would, I wish you would do that. Just go to Dental Town and type in e-prescribe, and there's just so many questions. And gosh, I'm trying to answer a lot of these on the podcast, but some of them are so. So there's 3,000 dentists, and it does them all. That's just amazing.
And each week we get more. We get a survey back because we're targeting each state that have mandates. We try to target local dental journals to do that. Now, interesting, you're going to say, well, we're not endorsed by some of the society. The reason is a lot of societies, when you get endorsement, you need to pay them or some kind of fee splitting. Well, the first year is free, so how much fee splitting can they get, right? So if they partner with us, they're not getting that much money. But
I guess you guys would all share that because I've seen the horror stories. Bob Ibsen used to talk about it all the time where, he would have a product and he'd go down there and try to get the ADA seal of approval. Right. And he just said it was like a mob shakedown for money. And I don't care. I'm a long-term libertarian. When in 1980, freshman year of college, when I met Warren Buffett and read Frida Trues by Milton Friedman, I was done. I mean, it was love at first sight. And my gosh, I don't care. When I look at 5,000 years of recorded history, the two biggest problems are transparency and checks and balances. And if you're doing something like my dad, like I used to tell my 4 boys, I don't care what you do as long as you have no problem with it being on the front page of the Arizona Republic tomorrow. And if you're good with this is a front page story, do it. But if you never, ever want to see this on the front page of a newspaper, you probably shouldn't do it. And if you do it, you're going to have to defend it someday, possibly. And the all the weird ill behavior is always opaque. And then dentists, dentists don't even like checks and balances. I mean, they look at how hard they fought letting hygienists have a license to do cleanings. I mean, you go back to Irene, what was her name? Irene Newman was the first, wasn't she the first hygienist? Irene Newman was the first dental hygienist, and they put a plaque up in her honor, but it kept getting removed. But
what happens with I prescribe? We say you can't do anything. Number one, it's free. There's no obligations, no contract. It's like a handshake. You like us, you stay in the future. You don't like us, walk away. And in we have the best product and lowest price. So I figured people have nothing to lose to use our stuff to satisfy the mandates, because we don't use it enough to really pay a huge amount of money. I mean, some product out there costs a lot. And dentists, we use prescriptions so seldom. Why should we pay that kind of money? So we keep the cost really low. We don't build in fats. So we have no money for kickbacks. But we want to pass the benefit directly to the dentist. So we're very upfront. We're very transparent. And I think that they will show up in our results.
And to young kids in dental kindergarten school, what he just said will always affect your whole life, because, like, say you want to hire a consultant and they say, well, I want to have a 1-year contract. You got to pay this much. I mean, could you imagine going on a first date and you say, well, if you want to go out for dinner with me, you're going to sign a 1-year contract, and we're not just going out this Friday, but the first Friday of every month for a year. I mean, why do you need a long-term contract when you're dealing with other humans, and it can go south? And to me, it's a huge red flag when I'm locked in on a contract with a consultant or anything, and when someone says, I believe in my service so much, I don't even need a contract. In fact, if you didn't like what I was doing, I would even want to work with you. I would, that's just a deal breaker for me. But there's other people who want locked in, and that's because their mentality is money is the answer. What's the problem? And that's not what it is. That's not how the world works. It's relationships are the problem. My oldest sister's a Catholic nun I've been a dentist 32 years. She's been a nun for 35 years. She's read every major religion in their original language. And she knows their language. And she says there's not a city, a person, a place that's in all the major religions except for the golden rule. Treat other people like you want to be treated. And that's the bottom line of customer service. So the fact that you don't require a contract and you are into relationships just speaks volumes to you. Tell your brother that's amazing, and tell your Mesa team I'm in their backyard. If they're ever in the area, come by and see Dental Town. But I know you're busier than a one-armed periodontist, so thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show today and talk to my homies.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to talk with you. I've been a fan for a long time. I attended one of your earlier seminars. You always stay with me. So what you talked about is as relevant today as when I took it was a young dentist. So it's a great credit to you, Howard. Great job.
Thank you. And what's that hotel by Washington, D.C.? It's like a 30, 40-minute drive. No, the one that's got
the Mandarin Oriental by the
no,
museum.
The ones where there's old people pretending they're George Washington and
was it Mayflower, or was it the Marriott? What's it? Where's General Ulysses Grant stayed in? I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Oh my gosh.
Mayflower or something else, right.
But right. Washington D.C.
Willard. Was it Willard? Was it Willard? Yeah.
Yeah. And Washington, D.C., I mean, my gosh, the monuments, the museums, I mean, it is just the coolest city in the world. You must really have a lot of fun there between all the historical, all the museums, all the everything. It's just a great place to go. So,
well, we come here for Cherry Blossom. You're welcome. Look me up.
Okay, I will. I'll hold you to it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.